How's it going, everyone? My name is Michael SK, and welcome back to Higurashi When They Cry Chapter 7. It is still the night of Watanagashi, and this is a brand new perspective. So, Rika did her absolute best to warn not only Tomitake and Takano that they were going to be killed, but also her friends, the doctor, and Ueshi-san, to try and get the word out as much as possible to try and prevent their death. Now, I am suspicious of Takano, and I've made that very clear, all the way back in Chapter 3 even. We're gonna see what happens here now that they are alone, and they departed alone together multiple times in the past chapters that we've gone through, but they've died in different ways, in separate areas. So let us see what happens here back at the clinic. Tomitake gathered up his paperwork and slipped it inside his bag.
嫌にしつこかったね。そんなに僕らに死んでほしいのかな。
夢の話とはいえ迷惑な話よね。
入江所長にリカちゃんの検査を念入りに行った方がいいと言っておいてください。
So they fully don't believe it.
夢見の悪さは何かの予兆かもしれない。リカちゃんに何かあったら大変なことになるからね。
Takano touched Tomitake's hand gently. As he turned bright red, Takano moved in closer and spoke. The way she acts is just too sexy, Tomitake thought.
ねえ、次郎さん。
Uh-oh.
とても真面目な話があるの。聞いてくださる？
なんだい？
Uh-oh, she's about to tell him about her weird theories.
高野さんまで真面目な話があるってのかい？まさか高野さんまで僕が喉をかきむしって死ぬ夢を見たなんていうのはなしだよ。
そのまさかだとしたら？
え？
Takano stared at him with a mischievous look as if seducing him, and started whispering into his ear.
驚いているのよ。あの子には本当に神通力があるのかもしれないってね。
I know I don't have a face cam or anything, guys, but my eyes are wide.
それはどういうことだい？
Takano smiled gently and pulled back her hair. Even seeing her do so made Tomitake's heart race.
私、あなたのことが好きよ。
それは光栄だな。
Takano's fingers curled around Tomitake's chin, stroking, tickling, and caressing it. Her movements were very captivating and seductive.
いろいろな男と付き合ってきたけれど、野心も野生味も私には合わなかった。あなたのような固くて真面目な人が一番相性がいいって分かったの。あなたなら私のすべてを受け止めてくれる。私のことを本当に理解してくれるって信じられるの。だからあなたにならミオのすべてを捧げられる。私のすべてをあなたに抱き受けてもらいたいの。この気持ちがわかるかしら？
高野さん、急にどうしたんだい？
Her voice didn't really sound that affectionate. Tomitake knew from experience that he couldn't grasp what was on her mind when she wore a cold smile like that.
いよいよなの。もうじきなの。
It seemed as though she couldn't wait for something to happen. There was a chilling allure to her strange smile that made one question if something exciting was really going to happen.
何がもうじきなんだい？
Tomitake asked, trying hard to resist the temptation.
私の夢が叶う日が。
君の夢？
そう。私の話したことがあったわよね。それとも私なんかが話したことは記憶に残らないのかしら？
いや、覚えてるよ。君の夢。
Tomitake's response was vague. Either he didn't remember or he hadn't understood it very well.
いよいよお社様のたたりが現実のものとなる日がやってくる。その日こそが 私の子供の頃からの夢が叶う日。二郎さん、聞いて。私はもうあなたと一緒にはいられないの。
え？それはどういう意味だい？
あなたと私は違う世界に住む存在なの。ここhinamizawaは人の世と鬼の世の接点だから、日の当たる世界のあなたと日の当たらない世界の私が出会えた。でももうそれが終わるの。陽光の降り注ぐ日中に訪れた束の間の月食が日の当たる世界の人間と日の当たらない世界の鬼を引き合わせた。私が何を言っているかわかるかしら？
Takano, I never understand what the fuck you're saying. I'm gonna be real with you. She's always on about something, but, you know, more so than ever, I think we should really be paying attention.
高野さん、まだビールが抜けないのかい？酔ってるね。
お別れの夜が来たの。日の当たる世界を教えてくれてありがとう。あなたの温かさは日だまりの温かさだったわ。騙し合ったり疑い合ったりしない本当に温かい関係だった。だからあなたと別れるのがとても惜しい。
She pulled herself away from Tomatake and slowly stepped back, as if signaling the time had come for them to part.
君が何を言っているのかわからない。何の話なんだい、高野さん。
だからあなたに選んでほしい。私のそばにいることを選んで日の当たる世界のすべてを捨てる勇気を見せてほしい。あなたが私の耳元でささやいてくれたことがどれも本当だったなら、二郎さんに戸惑いはないはず。
By that time, Tomatake understood that Takano was asking him to make an important decision.
まさか君は。
そのまさかなの、二郎さん。
Tomatake got up from his seat and looked Takano straight in the eyes, and there was a faint glimmer of hostility within those eyes.
私より仕事が大事なの、やっぱり。
信じられない。君のことを信じていたのに。
Those words were ones of rejection. Takano's lips twisted into a cruel smile.
お社様は人と鬼を融和したそうだけど、そのお社様でも私とあなたを融和することはできなさそうね。
Takano slowly opened the door. 6 men in overalls were standing there at the ready. Tomatake was frozen in shock. The 6 men walked up to Tomatake with no expressions on their face. It was immediately obvious that they were going to do something to harm him.
これは何の真似だ？
Hinamizawa症候群は導火線に火がついた爆弾と同じ。それが爆発する前に東京はあなたに爆弾を解体してしまうことを命じた。
Hinamizawa syndrome? Is that our curse of Oyashiro-sama?
でもね、東京にはこの爆弾が派手に爆発して欲しがっている人もいるの。
バカな！そんなことをして誰が何の得をするんだ？
得のないことをする人なんてこの世にはいないわ。損得があるからベクトルが生まれる。だから私を前にそれを問うことは無意味ね。
信じられない。そんなバカなことを考えている連中がいるのかい？hinamizawa症候群はとても危険な病気であることは君も知っているはずだ。
そうよ。爆発すればとても大変なことになる。
Oh my god.
だからこ
Oh
そ
my god.
東京も失態を隠しきれない。
君はその連中に買収されたというのか？
元からそういう目的で送り込まれているの。申し訳ないわね。出会った時から私とあなたは住む世界が違ったの。
それで僕をどうするつもりだ？
あなたの協力があれば私の仕事はとても楽になるわ。もちろんそれはあなたにとっては裏切り行為にあたる。
僕に寝返れというつもりか。
次郎さん、私に囁いてくれた愛が本当なら黙って私に協力してはくださらないかしら。
Look, I like Tomitake-san as much as the next guy, but I think this was just a booty call.
もちろん
I'm
報
sorry.
酬は望みのまま。あなたが私を望むならば一生をあなたに捧げてあげる。あなたが望むとき、あなたの望むところであなたの望むように。
Okay, more so than ever now. But remember, guys, never stick your dick in crazy.
私はあなただけのもの。あなたのためだけに独り占めをしていいのよ。私もあなたにならあなただけの女になってあげてもいい。ねえ、私の心にあなた自身を住まわせてみたいとは思わない？
Her words were a kind of assault, directly, directly hammering at the emotions men had difficulty resisting. They were like an evil spell to control his heart. Upon hearing them, Tomitake felt an unknown sensation rush up his spine as his feet froze in place, entranced. However, he forced himself to resist the temptation. He sealed the cracks in his wall of reason to stop Takano from forcefully entering his heart.
断る。
Well, there's the evil laugh. She had known from the start that Tomitake was going to refuse her. Even so, Takano let out a triumphant laugh. It's funny. She thought Tomitake would refuse right away. However, it took him a while to refuse because of how effective she was at seducing him. The time it took to refuse her was one of victory for Takano. For Tomitake, it was a time of humiliation. Takano continued to laugh. She sounded rather like an evil witch.
そう言うと思ったわ。それでこそ私の大好きな次郎さんよ。
Alright. Well, there's our mountain dog. Takano raised up her right hand and gave a signal to the mountain dogs.
この日君、君も寝返ったのか。
失礼しますね、富武ニードの。
次郎さんも鈍いわね。山犬は初めから私の部下よ。この診療所は最初から私たちが掌握している。
Yeah, I kind of had a feeling it was going in that direction. The whole, mountain dog, secret group in Hinamizawa deal that was connected to the clinic seemed a little weird. It really did, and now my dog is on me, speaking of mountain dogs. Just a moment. Whew, sorry about that. Yeah, I imprisoned one of my dogs in my room to prevent all of them from barking, because I just love to do that whenever I record. Yeah, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, mountain dogs. Yeah, so it seems like, the clinic isn't really to blame. It's just that the clinic was kind of being used as a cover-up for these mountain dogs, this secret group here. And yeah, I was right. The antagonist also has an antagonist group.
知らないのはあなたと入江所長だけよ。
くそ。
Tomitake moved into action, sensing the danger that was about to befall him. His first thrust out as quick as lightning, or his fist thrust out as quick as lightning, sorry, I can't read, knocking one man down before he could even blink. However, the other mountain dogs certainly weren't going to just stay there and watch. They all attacked him as one. And, now I'm starting to think, Rika is fucked. She is absolutely screwed. If the mountain dogs are the evil group, they're more than likely the ones that are going to disembowel Rika, and she's gonna die because of the mountain dogs that are set to watch over her. She is literally screwed. He tried to strike back with an elbow, but he simply couldn't overcome the difference in numbers. Tomitake tried his best, but soon enough the mountain dogs had wrestled him to the ground.
くそー。離せ離せんか。こいつジタバタすんな。
They pinned him down so that he couldn't move an inch.
さすがね、次郎さん。6人がかりでも手こずらせるなんて素敵よ。
Takano walked over and smiled while looking down at Tomitake.
ねえ、次郎さん。どうせ断るんでしょうけれど、私の自己満足のためにもう一度聞かせてね。やっぱり意見を変えて、私の味方になってはくれないのかしら。
無駄だ。君の仲間にはならない。
その一言が欲しかったの。私の未練を断ち切るためにね。
Takano was holding a small case in her hands. She opened it and showed Tomitake what was inside.
その注射は
That's our disease.
いやね、想像がついてるくせに。
バカな。全て破棄したはず。
次郎さん、あなたはこう思っているでしょう。たとえ破棄した例の注射だとしても、自分は予防薬を投与済みだから注射されても免疫があるはず。そうでしょ。だから怯えてないのよね。あなたが今回Hinamizawaに来た時に投与された予防薬はね、違うのよ。あなたは今自覚してないだろうけども、すでにレベル3クラスで感染してる
Oh shit.
Hinamizawa 症候群の潜在患者なの。
So he's practically just as bad as Sodako is right now.
次郎さん、注射するとき目を背ける癖があるでしょ。ダメよ。自分に何の注射がされてるか毎回ちゃんと確認した方がいいわよ。
くそー、離せや。
Tomitake struggled to get away, but he simply couldn't move. Upon seeing his sorry state, Takano laughed with glee.
H173 は次郎さんもよくご存知のはずよね。投与することで感染し、かつ興奮状態を誘発することで疑似的にレベル5を発症させる。
Which means he's going to start clawing his throat out.
どれだけ劇的な効果があったかは次郎さんもご覧になってたんじゃないかしら。被験者は盛んに頸部液下のかゆみを訴えていたわね。
Which is where Rena was back in Chapter 6.
過去の症例の文献から見ると、どうもレベル5発症時にリンパ節に異常なかゆみを訴えるケースがあるみたい。
As well as Keiichi back in Chapter 1.
抗原抗体反応の一種かもしれないわね。だから次郎さん、あなた運が良ければリカちゃんが予言した通りの死に方ができるわよ。自傷で自ら死ぬか、それとも脳を憎悪で焼かれて廃人になるか、あなたはどちらになるのかしらねえ、次郎さん。
やめろ、やめろー。
これじゃあお注射は難しいわね。眠らせてあげて。
I'm starting to think that in Chapter 3, from what we saw of the doctor's suicide, it either wasn't a suicide and that he was forced to die or to do whatever he did to commit suicide, or he committed suicide because he found out the truth. One of the men covered Tomitake's mouth with a towel soaked in some kind of chemical. He tried to fight it off with all of his might, but his strength eventually left him, and he became as quiet as a beached whale. Takano stroked his face to make sure that he couldn't resist. Then she brought the needle toward his throat. She pushed it right into his skin. As she squeezed down on the syringe's plunger, the skin surrounding the tip of the needle swelled up, and eventually the contents were absorbed into his body.
さよなら、次郎さん。次に目が覚めるときは楽しい悪夢の世界にいるのかしらね。
The mountain dogs finally got off of him. He couldn't even twitch.
誰か彼を私の車のトランクに運んで。
Two of the men lifted up Tomitake and carried him outside.
そうそう。彼の愛用の自転車も一緒だときっと喜ぶでしょうね。地獄へ行っても好きなだけサイクリングができる。
The mountain dogs all quietly laughed at the joke.
ではこれより終末作戦を開始します。
They stopped laughing as she began to speak.
おこのぎは以後の連絡を待て。入江所長から目を離すな。あと、フルで理科にも注意してね。どんな第六感か知らないけど、少なくとも彼の死に方だけは当てたわ、あの子。もっと研究したかったけど、残念ね。
了解ですわ。こちらはお任せください。道中はお気をつけて。
気をつけるほどもない旅よ。ところで入江所長は？
祭りの後の打ち上げ中でしょう。まだ神社の敷地内にいるとのことですね。
あの研究しかできない坊やがどう取り乱すか見れないのが残念ね。
Damn, going that far, huh? The mountain dog started laughing again too. Takano checked the time on her watch. It was nearly 10 p.m. Most people must have left the festival for home. Those people still there were probably enjoying the after party while getting drunk inside the shrine. It was a good time for her to leave without being seen by anyone.
では、私も出発するわ。死んでくるわね。
I don't know if that means that she's literally going to die or if she's going to set something up to make it look like a death. After saying that, she left the clinic alone. Also, in Chapter 3, when she picked up Keiichi, was Tomotake in the trunk? Could he have been? She left through the back door. She left amid the moonlight, the singing of insects, and the sound of a river. It was a typical night in Hinamizawa. While enjoying all these sensations, Takano got inside her car. Tomotake was sleeping inside the trunk. His bicycle, on the other hand, was loaded into her back seat. I mean, it explains the bicycle being there, I guess. How ironic. Your bicycle has a better seat than you. I'll let you out of there soon. I should leave him by the road that leads to Okinomiya. That'll be a good spot. Takano found a good place to drop him off, but she gave up on it as there was a police cruiser parked in the area. She figured that they were probably patrolling to make sure the 5th year's curse didn't happen. Good job, officers. No one would ever suspect that there's a curse packed in my trunk right now. Yeah. Takano drove onto less lit streets with rougher roads. Eventually, the mountain road ended and she was surrounded by darkness. There were rice fields nearby. She could tell by the sound of the croaking frogs. Takano parked her car by the pitch-black roadside. She had to stop here, otherwise she'd be too close to a residential area. Knowing the lay of the land really helps out with her plan here, huh? Indeed, she was nearly in Okinomiya. She would have dumped him earlier, but the police cruiser had foiled that plan. Takano pulled Tomotake out of the trunk and left him by the road. She also left him his bicycle. Tomotake let out a small groan. It probably wouldn't be long until he woke up.
さよなら、次郎さん。あなたのギクシャクした恋の語りも楽しかったわ。もっと聞かせてもらいたかったから。もうじきあなたは目を覚ますわ。その頃にはあなたはレベル5の末期を迎えてる。あなたは錯乱の挙句、きっと哀れな死に方をするでしょうね。氏脇病が語るように、やはりあなたも喉をかきむしって死ぬのかしら。それを観察できないのがとても残念。そしてあなたの異常な死と私の失踪はこの地に5年目のたたりとして刻まれるでしょう。そうしてお社様のたたりはますます強固なものとなって残る。その礎となれるなんて。次郎さん、これはとても名誉なことなのよ。あなたはこれから命ある身を捨てて永遠の存在の一部となれるのだから。
That was her last farewell to Tomotake. Takano got back inside her car and started driving. She could see the place she left Tomotake in her rearview mirror, but it was already shrouded in darkness. Wow. I'm kind of speechless, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I really don't know what to say yet. Takano drove through the main street of Okinomiya and made a few turns, heading for the dark mountains in the distance. It had been a while since she left Hinamizawa. It was almost midnight. She might have already made it to the neighboring prefecture. It was difficult to tell because she couldn't really see anything in the darkness. Takano stopped her car in the middle of all that. After turning off both the engine and the headlights, there really was nothing but darkness surrounding her. It was as if time itself had stopped. Takano wasn't sure how long she waited, but eventually she saw the headlights of a car blinking twice. She blinked her own headlights back at it. Soon she saw several people walking toward her. Two men wearing blue overalls knocked on the window of Takano's car. Obligingly, she opened it. She looked over her face and the paperwork they had in their hands.
ご苦労様、高野よ。
After confirming her identification, she called someone over the radio.
本部どうぞ。ヒナを確保。尾行ないか。
尾行はなし。後方400メートルクリア。
尾行はありません。お疲れ様でした。どうぞ指揮者へ。書類をお預かりします。
書類カバンはトランクの中よ。これが鍵。あとコーヒーがもらいたいわね。入れてくださる？
What the fuck is all this? The command vehicle was a trailer with a bunch of high-tech communication equipment inside. The light of the electric equipment shone beautifully in the dark.
さあ、コーヒーです。どうぞ。
Another man in blue overalls offered her a paper cup.
ありがとう。私の死体の方は大丈夫？
現地にて偽装終了との連絡が入っております。
Ah, okay, I see. She's not actually gonna die here.
現地？隣の県の山中でドラム缶に放り込まれて焼け死になのかしら？
死因までは確認させます。
Operation Doomsday. That was the name of their mission. The goal of the operation's first stage was Takano's escape from Hinamizawa and the extraction of 18 specific classified documents. That goal had been completed. Assassinating the liaison from Tokyo, Tomatake, was also one of the goals. That one had also been completed in the way Takano had planned. He was not killed that way just because Takano had wanted to see it. It was intentionally planned that way so that the office in Tokyo would be suspicious of the Irie Institute. They were trying to create the story that the Institute was upset with the recent budget cuts and the cancellation of their study. Tomatake's mysterious death would be a suitable way to persuade people. Tomatake was not the only one who was expected to die. Takano was expected to do so as well. However, Takano didn't really need to die herself. They had acquired a substitute body for her, so she didn't have to actually die. Takano had no idea how they got the body. According to what she heard, a team in the Gifu, took care of everything. Once Tomatake and Takano were dead, Tokyo would definitely grow suspicious of the Irie Institute. The main purpose of this mission was to make the Institute look reckless.
申し訳ありません、さあ。現地の工作班で問題が発生したようです。
問題？どうしたのかしら？
偽装死体の選別にミスがあったそうです。死後24時間経過していたとか。
Ah, see? It actually wasn't a mistake by those that were examining the body once they had it. Apparently it was actually dead for 24 hours, whoever it was.
あら、するとどういうことになるのかしら？つまりサンサは昨日すでに亡くなられていたことになってしまいます。
But you see how that created a lot of confusion on my part? What was I thinking back then? I did bring up the possibility that, oh, maybe Takano's actually alive, but, you know, then there was the counter arguments. Takano's body was supposed to be selected from the corpses of people who had died the same day. The plan was to then burn the body and make identification of the corpse more difficult. They'd found a suitable body for the plan. However, they just found out that it had been dead for over a day. That would create a hole in their plans.
現地の方で現在収集に当たっていますので。
いいわ。その死体を私ということにしなさい。
は、 しかしそれでは。
Hinamizawaを滅びに導くお社様の使いが実は前日に死んでいて、祭りの当日には死者として歩き回っていたか。面白い。それは実に面白いわね。
Takano laughed with satisfaction for a while. The other people in the vehicle couldn't understand why Takano was laughing so much. Takano continued to laugh as if it was the funniest thing she'd ever heard.
構わない。現地にはそれを私にしろと伝えなさい。そのくらいのズレがあった方が面白いわ。
よろしいのですか。万が一ということも。
万が一なんてないわ。だって高野美代は現に今日綿流しのお祭りの会場を闊歩していたのよ。たとえ検視の結果死後24時間以上経っていると出たって、おめでたい連中は検視結果の方が間違ってると思ってくれるわよ。
Takano almost seemed to be enjoying the risk.
了解。現場へその旨連絡します。
それより私の死体はドラム缶の中で焼かれていたの？
はい、高速道路近くの山中でドラム缶の中で焼けていたのを発見されたそうです。
Takano seemed surprised to hear that from him. Then she started laughing strangely again. Nobody could figure out why she was laughing like that.
なるほど。お社様の生まれ変わりは伊達じゃないということなのね。あの子にはやはり人知の及ばない何かがあるということを認めなければならない。南沢の山犬に R の監視体制を厳重にするように連絡を。
Yeah, I'm pretty sure R stands for Rika.
了解。
失礼します。沖宮警察が富武の遺体を発見したとの無線を傍受しました。
Alright, so he's dead.
発見したわね。いよいよ始まるわよ。
おいさん、先生が到着してます。
ああ、どうもどうも。どうですか、入江の先生。
Yeah, we've been through this before. Higurashi entered the area enclosed by a blue tarp. In there, people from forensics were taking pictures of the dead body from various angles. Irie was squatting down next to the dead body of Jiro Tomotake. When he stood up, he was white as a sheet.
信じられません。
そりゃ私だって信じられませんよ。
Oh, I think Irie's I think he's meaning something else here.
初見で見た限り、仏は喉をかきむしっています。それも自分の手でです。こいつはまっとうな死に方じゃない。
Really now?
十中八九、何らかのヤバめな薬物でしょう。
彼は何らかの薬物の常習者だったということでしょうか。
さあね、そいつを調べるのはどうやら我々の仕事になりそうです。
大石さん、この角材は
多分仏が振り回したんじゃないかと思います。で、途中で捨てて喉をかくのが楽しくなっちゃったんじゃないかと。
角材を何のために振り回したんでしょう。
自衛のためと考えるのが一番自然だと思います。仏の体に外傷がいくつかあるのに気づいてます？
ええ、打撲傷を思わせる跡がいくつか散見できます。
ってことは、一番考えられるストーリーは、仏が祭り終了後、沖宮へ帰る途中、ここで何者かに襲われた。
That or they're self-inflicted? Is that possible?
それで取り押さえられて怪しげな注射とかそういうのをされて、その結果錯乱させられて死に至らしめられた。
Unless the bruises and such that they're looking at are from, well, exactly when he was seized by the culprit and all that. So back at the clinic, this isn't something that happened here out in the open. Unless he did more damage to himself in his level 5 state. Hard to say.
喉をかきむしるように誘導できる薬物なんて 聞いたことがありません。
私もそっちは専門じゃありませんが、何らかの中毒による異常行動に自傷行為ってあるらしいじゃないですか。まあその辺はうちの鑑識のじい様が調べてくれるでしょう。
おいさん、失礼します。ここから数百メートルのところに富武二郎のものと思われる自転車が見つかりました。
Damn, he went a mile, huh?
おお、そうですか。ありがとうございます。何か手がかりとかは？
いえ、初見では特には。今鑑識が言ってます。
じゃあつまりその自転車があった場所が襲撃場所と考えていいんでしょうね。
Close.
それで戦ったり逃げたりしてここまで来た。
Higurashi frowned, crossing his arms in front of his chest. Irie was looking at the miserable corpse of Tomitake, and he kept saying the same thing.
ありえない。絶対にありえない。
And I understand what he means by that. Irie knew right away that Tomitake's death was caused by the terminal symptoms of Hinamizawa syndrome. He hadn't swung the 2x4 at a real person, but probably saw some kind of hallucination due to the level 5 symptoms. Violent reactions to hallucinations is one of the clearest characteristics of the terminal stage. However, Tomitake supposedly took a vaccine before he came to the village. There was no way he could reach level 5 symptoms in such a short period of time. Irie didn't want to believe it, but it was obvious that someone intentionally injected him with the pathogen. The pathogen must have been strong enough to give him level 5 symptoms immediately. The only drug that can do that is H.7, a chemical weapon that induces an acute onset of symptoms. It makes people hallucinate, which inevitably leads to a horrible death. It's the absolute worst kind of demon. However, they had destroyed all of it due to its dangerous nature. All that was left were helpful chemicals such as vaccines and treatment drugs. Tomitake was the liaison from Tokyo. Whoever killed him must have had full knowledge about him and this drug. How would that person know he was their liaison? It was then that Irie thought of Takano. Takano is also a watchdog from Tokyo. She's something like a superintendent. It was quite possible that something bad had happened to her too. Oh, so he's not even thinking of her as like the person that did this.
高野さんはどうなったんです？
え？ああ、お宅の看護師さんの。
多分富武さんと一緒だったと思うんです。高野さんは無事なんですか？
先生、彼女の電話番号はわかります？
もちろんです。
熊ちゃん、入江の先生に電話番号を聞いて署から在宅確認を取らせてください。
了解っす。先生、番号を。
はい。よろしいですか？
Kumagai got the phone number, repeated it to make sure he got it right, and then dashed out of the blue tent.
先生、高野さんと仏は確か親しい仲でしたよね。
I guess not as close as everybody thought.
何かトラブルがあったとか、そういうのは聞いたことがあります？
まさか、聞いたことないです。仲のいい二人でした。
Tomitake and Takano weren't just in a close relationship. They were co-workers sent from Tokyo. They had access to information that even Irie didn't. There's no way there was trouble between them.
何事もなけりゃいいんですがね。下手すりゃ仏か、それとも星か。なるほど。看護師なら怪しげな薬物を取り扱えてもおかしくはないですよね。
そんな薬品はうちの診療所にはありませんし、あったとしても厳重に保管されています。高野さんに持ち出せるわけがない。
それでも一般人よりは容易でしょ。
ですからそもそもそんな薬物は聞いたことがないし、当診療所にも存在しません。
Irie made clumsy excuses while he tried to piece together what was going on. However, Irie had no means of knowing the state of affairs in Tokyo, and he couldn't reach any further conclusions. So it was easy to laugh at him as though he's a frog trapped in a well.
大石さん、留守のようです。署の待機組の方で直接訪問すると言ってます。
先生、すみませんが高野さんの住所を教えてください。じゃあそれプラス県警に今夜出た身元不明の女性死体がないか確認を取ってください。あるいは県外の可能性もあるな。課長に近県にも同様に身元不明の女性死体が出てないか確認を取るよう伝えてください。
了解っす。
沖宮警察が現地の県警本部への接触を開始。サンサ、よろしいのですね。
ええ、構わないわ。そのままで行きなさい。どうせすぐに週末よ。誰かが一人くらい死亡時刻を疑ったって誰かが耳を貸す前に全てが滅ぶ。
Oh my god. There's a lot to really take in here, huh? But this is our big reveal. I really just threw it in our face. But they gave us a lot of hints, to be honest, and a lot of reasons to suspect Takano here, you know? Okay, so we'll end the episode here, but I do want to talk a little, because that was quite literally one of the big reveals of this series. It is our literal antagonist. It is. Oh, where do we begin? So, something that just came to mind was Chapter 5. Yeah, remember that extra route that wasn't canon, was kind of just added in during, I think, the console release? Yeah, I have a feeling of who may have killed Keiichi there at the end. Yeah, the enemy is always alive. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, the enemy's always alive, and so even if it was a way for Keiichi to escape, either he'll succumb to something eventually, whether it be the Hinamizawa syndrome or some other health-related incident, or Takano will literally come up and kill him for whatever reason. And I guess the Hinamizawa syndrome, the curse of Oyashiro-sama, whatever you want to call it, that is hanging around here on this village, is what kills everybody that is able to escape after, I guess, our apparent doomsday, which I'm assuming is where they're going to allow everybody to experience level 5 symptoms. Everybody's going to basically kill themselves or succumb to some sort of health problem. It's interesting to think about. And Chapter 3, I mean, shoot, as I said earlier, Tomitake was probably right there in the trunk. That was such a suspicious scene, and I kind of just let it go. She was always a very suspicious person. We have to accept that fact. You know, how she would always try to convince somebody of these things about Oyashiro. It's as if she was trying to push them to get higher up with the syndrome, with the disease. Because everybody apparently has it here. Keiichi probably started getting it whenever he moved here. And since he's young and learning all these things, and he's very influential, now I've talked about how influential he can be, it probably quickly affected him, which is what we saw his downfall in with Chapter 1. It's all about perspective, and that's why whenever we reached Chapter 5, I was really excited that after going through the first 3 chapters, and even Chapter 4, we finally got a new perspective. We got to see it from Shion. Little did I know that the perspectives from Shion and Rena in Chapters 5 and 6 were also going to be tainted and twisted. But Chapter 6 allowed us to see 2 perspectives, one from Keiichi that wasn't twisted, one from Rena that was. So we found out that, yeah, there is something going on. And I guess everything that Takano told Rena in Chapter 6, besides the aliens, was fairly true. In a way, she probably said the most, I guess, realistic stuff to her there, that there's some sort of disease. Chapter 5 and all the other previous chapters, Takano always talks with somebody and gets them thinking of something that, you know, makes their mind going and kind of allows them to go crazy. She was always trying to influence them, and that's why I felt suspicious of her. Plus, she was just, you know, a little cuckoo, but I think she's cuckoo for other reasons now. So we'll see what goes on from here, because this really stretches even further. There's a whole group of people that want to see the end of Hinamizawa. So that is absolutely true. The watchdogs are the enemy, and Takano and I guess a whole like group of people want to see the end of the village. Why? I don't know. Is it political? Probably, but I don't know. We'll see what happens as I guess the rest of this chapter goes on, but now this variable, this one thing, or this rule, I mean, has happened, where the death of Tomitake probably could have been prevented, but it wasn't because Rika just literally did not have enough information. There was literally nothing she could have done here without knowing that Takano was the enemy. So, that has now happened. Can she basically prevent everything else from going wrong? Her death and the end of Hinamizawa. We still have quite a bit to go, apparently, like another 5.5 hours. Somebody said 6+ hours last time, so maybe we're like 5-ish away. The more talking I do, the longer it's going to take. But yeah, thank you all for watching this episode. What a wild one it was. I'm excited to see how the rest of this chapter goes, to see how everything plays out, especially in Chapter 8. And yeah, I'm not going to lie, I feel like I kind of always knew that Takano was the enemy for a while. I don't know if I can say that I was spoiled, but her name did come up in a lot of things. I tried not to Google anything Higurashi related because I don't like to be spoiled, and I do that for a lot of games too. But also the Chapter 8 title card is of a blonde child, and all I can think of is that Takano? Because she's the only blonde that we've come across in this entire series. But obviously we're still coming across new characters, so I didn't know. But yeah, I always had a sneaking feeling that Takano was somehow involved, and, well, here we go. I don't know if I can say I was spoiled, but for a series that's been out for a while, I mean, it's hard to not be spoiled, right? Thank you all for watching this episode. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, all that fancy jazz, and I will see you guys in the next one. Take it easy.